April 1st, 2014. Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon, two bright and adventurous young students from the Netherlands, set out on what was supposed to be a fun hiking trip near the village of Boquete in western Panama. Kris, 21 years old, was studying teaching at a university in the Netherlands. She had a free-spirited love of travel and exploring new cultures. Lisanne, also 21, was pursuing a degree in applied sciences. She shared Kris's passion for outdoor adventures in far-off lands. The two close friends decided to go on a hiking tour of the Boquete area during their university break. Little did they know, this scenic region nestled in the Panamanian highlands would soon become the setting for one of the most baffling missing persons cases in recent memory. On that fateful morning, Kris and Lisanne began their trek on the popular Pianista Trail, telling their host mother they expected to return around 6 p.m. that evening. But when nightfall came, the two young women had not returned from their hike. A massive search and rescue operation was launched, but turned up no sign of the missing students. 10 excruciating days later, the first clues finally surfaced. Their backpack was found by the river, containing their two battered phones, a camera, and 90 disturbing photographs that raised more questions than answers. Where had Kris and Lisanne gone? What happened to them on those remote jungle trails? And just how far were authorities willing to go to uncover the truth? Join us as we embark on this riveting exploration of the disappearance of Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon, and experience the twists and turns of a case that continues to haunt the hearts and minds of people across the globe. Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon were two young Dutch women with their whole lives ahead of them. Hailing from the city of Amersfoort in the Netherlands, these best friends shared a bond that extended far beyond their hometown. Kris, just 21 years old, was known for her open, creative, and responsible nature. She had recently completed her studies in cultural social education at the University of Utrecht, specializing in art education. Her passion for the arts and her desire to make a positive impact on the world were evident to all who knew her. Lisanne, a year older at 22, was equally impressive. Described as aspiring, optimistic, and intelligent, she had graduated with a degree in applied psychology from Deventer. But her talents extended beyond the classroom. Lisanne was also a passionate volleyball player, dedicating countless hours to perfecting her skills on the court. In the weeks leading up to their fateful trip to Panama, Kris and Lisanne had taken their friendship to the next level by moving in together. They shared a dorm room in Amersfoort, and even worked side by side at a local cafe restaurant called In den Kleinen Hap. It was there, amidst the bustle of serving customers and brewing coffee, that they hatched a plan for the adventure of a lifetime. For 6 months, Kris and Lisanne saved every penny they could. Their goal was to embark on a special 6-week vacation, one that would allow them to immerse themselves in the local culture, learn Spanish, and make a difference in the lives of others. They were particularly keen on volunteering with children, hoping to use their skills and compassion to brighten the lives of those less fortunate. But this trip was more than just a chance to explore a new country and give back to the community. For Lisanne, it was also meant to be a graduation present, a way to celebrate her hard-earned achievements and embark on a new chapter in her life. Little did Kris and Lisanne know that their dreams of adventure and altruism would soon be overshadowed by a mystery that would captivate the world. As they set out on that fateful hike in the Panamanian wilderness, they had no idea that they were about to become the central figures in a tragedy that would leave their families, friends, and the entire nation of the Netherlands reeling. As Kris and Lisanne arrived in Boquete, a small city near the western border of Panama, their excitement and anticipation were palpable. They had been planning this trip for months, meticulously arranging every detail with the help of their travel agency, Het Andere Reizen. The highlight of their journey was supposed to be volunteering at a local children's school called Aura, Guarderia Aura, where they hoped to make a difference in the lives of young Panamanians. However, Their dreams were quickly shattered when they arrived at the school, only to be told that their services were not needed that week. The head of the school, Maria Elena, had other commitments and couldn't accommodate them, despite the agreements made in advance. To make matters worse, the language barrier proved to be a significant obstacle, as the girls spoke little to no Spanish, and Maria Elena struggled to understand them. Lisanne, in particular, took the setback hard. In her diary, she wrote, "The only thing we were told was no próxima semana. We are only welcome next week." Staying with a local host family in Alto Boquete, south of the main city, Kris and Lisanne tried to regroup and find alternative ways to spend their time. Their host, Miriam Guerra, a seasoned host for international students, described the girls as smart and shy, but also noted their restlessness. Despite the language barrier, Lisanne managed to convey to Miriam their predicament and their desire to find meaningful volunteer work. Miriam suggested Casa Esperanza, another local school, but the girls had already tried there without success. It seemed that both Aura and Casa Esperanza required volunteers to have intermediate Spanish language skills, which Kris and Lisanne lacked. Determined to make the most of their time, Kris and Lisanne decided to explore Boquete and its surroundings. On Sunday, March 30th, they set out to walk around the city, taking photos and familiarizing themselves with the area. They returned home before sunset, and with the help of staff from the local Spanish language school, Spanish by the River, they planned various sightseeing tours for the following week. While they had plans to visit a local volcano, coffee plantation, and strawberry farm later in the week, Tuesday remained unscheduled, perhaps as a way to save money on guided tours, which could cost up to $45 per person. As Kris and Lisanne navigated the unexpected challenges of their trip, little did they know that their decision to explore the area on their own would set in motion a chain of events that would forever change their lives and the lives of those who loved them. On that fateful Tuesday, April 1st, 2014, Kris and Lisanne embarked on what was meant to be a leisurely hike along the Pianista Trail, a well-known path that winds through the lush, cloud-shrouded forests and picturesque meadows surrounding Boquete. The trail, a popular destination for nature enthusiasts, promised breathtaking views and a chance to immerse oneself in the untamed beauty of the Panamanian wilderness. Dressed in light clothing, shorts and tank tops, and carrying only a small backpack containing essentials like money, mobile phones, a digital camera, a water bottle, and possibly some snacks, Kris and Lisanne appeared prepared for a short, casual outing. Despite warnings from residents at the start of the trail and a staff member from the language school about the dangers of hiking alone, the girls remained undeterred. As evening fell and Kris and Lisanne failed to return, their host family grew increasingly concerned. They searched the area around their home but found no trace of the missing women. Deciding to give them the benefit of the doubt, the family opted to wait until morning to continue their search. The situation took a more alarming turn when Kris and Lisanne failed to show up for a scheduled private walking tour with a local guide at 8 a.m. on Wednesday, April 2nd. The guide, concerned by their absence, went to the host family's house to look for them. Later that day, he and a staff member from the language school contacted the authorities and the girls' families, realizing that something was seriously amiss. The following morning, Thursday, April 3rd, marked the beginning of an extensive search effort. Authorities conducted aerial searches of the forest and organized foot patrols with the help of local residents, combing the area for any sign of the missing women. Little did anyone know that this was just the start of a mystery that would captivate the world and leave countless questions unanswered. As the days turned into weeks, the disappearance of Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon would become one of the most baffling and haunting cases in recent memory. As the search for Kris and Lisanne intensified, a co-worker from the Boquete Equestrian Center came forward, claiming to have seen the girls prior to April 1st. He noted that they appeared hot and sweating and red from walking, suggesting that they may not have been fully acclimatized to the altitude, regardless of their fitness level. While the veracity of this sighting cannot be confirmed, it raises questions about the challenges the girls may have faced during their hike, especially considering Lisanne's reported coughing, shortness of breath, and possible asthma or cold symptoms. The Pianista Trail, which Kris and Lisanne had set out to explore, reaches an altitude of 1890 meters, 6,200 feet, above sea level, with a starting point of 1,278 meters, 4,192 feet. This meant that the girls would have had to climb approximately 610 meters over a distance of 3.2 kilometers, 2 miles. A strenuous undertaking even for experienced hikers, let alone two young women who were not in peak physical condition. As the days turned into weeks without any sign of Kris and Lisanne, their parents took matters into their own hands. One of the girls' parents boarded a plane along with detectives from the Netherlands, joining forces with local police, dog units, and search teams to comb the forests for 10 days straight. The families even offered a substantial reward of $30,000 USD for any information leading to their daughter's whereabouts, but to no avail. As the weeks stretched into months, the anguish and desperation of their loved ones only grew, fueling a relentless search for answers. Then 2 months after the girls go missing, a chilling discovery is made by a local woman bathing in a river near Alto Romero. A blue and purple backpack partially submerged among the river's driftwood and boulders, containing 2 pairs of sunglasses, $83 in cash, Froon's passport, a water bottle, Froon's camera, 2 bras, and the women's phones. The discovery of Kris and Lisanne's belongings in the Changanola River on June 11th was equal parts shocking and heartbreaking for their loved ones. While it provided the first solid lead in the investigation, it also raised deeply unsettling questions about the circumstances surrounding their disappearance. The backpack and its contents were immediately turned over to Panamanian authorities, who began meticulously examining the items for any clues that could shed light on the girls' fate. Of particular interest were the 2 mobile phones and Lisanne's digital camera, which investigators hoped might contain valuable data or clues about their activities and whereabouts in the days after they went missing. Forensic experts were able to recover photos from the camera's memory card, revealing a haunting timeline of events. What it revealed baffles investigators and the public to this day. At 11:06 a.m., Kris and Lisanne embarked on their journey along the Pianista Trail, their spirits high and the world at their feet. The ascent was arduous, but their determination remained unwavering, and they reached the summit at approximately 1 p.m. What should have been a moment of celebration would soon take a darker turn. Defying the wisdom of experienced hikers, Kris and Lisanne chose to venture beyond the Pianista Trail, leaving the well-trodden path behind. They descended onto a local, native path on the other side of the Continental Divide, their steps carrying them into the unknown. Nearly an hour into their descent, they encountered the first river, a natural obstacle that would prove to be a pivotal point in their journey. It was here that the last normal photograph was captured, a fleeting moment frozen in time. At 16:39 p.m., while it was still light, they made their first attempt to call emergency services using the Dutch emergency number 112. This number, used throughout the European Union, automatically switches to the emergency number of the country the caller is in, and it is operational in Panama. However, due to poor reception, the call did not go through. A second attempt was made just 10 minutes later at 16:51 p.m., but again, the connection failed. Following these unsuccessful attempts, both the iPhone 4 and the Samsung phone were powered off at or just after 17:52 p.m. It would be another 14 hours before the next attempt to reach emergency services was made. Over the next few days, the girls tried calling both 112 and 911, the Panamanian emergency number for ambulances, but neither phone was able to establish a cell network connection after April 1st. On April 2nd, the second day of their disappearance, 3 call attempts were made at 06:58 a.m., 08:14 a.m., and 10:53 a.m., but the phone was powered off shortly after. On April 3rd, the third day, the Samsung phone, which had been left on throughout the night, was used between 0:02:21 a.m. to access a weather application, and by 07:36 a.m. the phone's battery was down to 1%, and it was powered off. Kris's iPhone was then used to make 2 unsuccessful 911 calls at 09:33 a.m. before being powered off. Later that day, at 15:59 p.m., the iPhone was powered on, and a contact named Mightyam with a Panamanian phone number was looked up on WhatsApp. Over the next few days, the phones were sporadically powered on and off, with no further attempts to call emergency services. The SIM pin for the iPhone was entered correctly for the last time on April 5th at 10:50 a.m. After that, either the wrong pin or no pin was entered, suggesting that someone else may have been trying to access the phone. What happens next still baffles investigators to this day. On April 11th, the 11th day, Kris's iPhone was powered on at 10:51 a.m. and remained on for 1 hour and 4 minutes before being powered off with approximately 22% battery remaining. This was the last recorded use of either phone. Then, in June 2014, a boot containing bone fragments was found near the Culebra River, a grueling 14-hour hike north from where the girls were last known to be. The boot was later identified as belonging to Lisanne. Alongside the boot, a section of Kris's pelvis was also recovered. Further searches in August yielded more bone fragments and a possible skin fragment, which were sent for forensic analysis. The examination of Kris's remains revealed that her pelvis had been nearly broken in half, and traces of phosphorus were found on her bones. The lack of marks or abrasions on the bones suggested that they hadn't been exposed to the elements or the river's currents for an extended period. Lisanne's remains told a slightly different story. Her foot, still encased in her boot, was found along with her tibia and femur. Interestingly, 3 of her foot metatarsals were broken, while the rest of the bones in her foot and leg remained intact. This raised questions about the nature of the injury she had sustained. Additionally, her leg bones showed signs of periostitis, indicating that she had been walking for several days, overexerting herself. The discovery of the remains only led to more questions than answers. How did the girls end up so far from their last known location? What caused the injuries to their bones? And perhaps most puzzling of all, why were their remains scattered in such a manner?